Hello, everybody. This is Karen Stanley here from Mabel and Stanley Publishing, and I'm joined today by the gorgeous Nikki Talbot, who's going to talk to us about her involvement as a new author in my collaborative book project. So without further ado, thank you for joining us. Would you like to introduce yourself, Nikki, and tell everyone your wonderful story?
Thank you so much, Karen. Yes, so as you've said, I'm Nikki from Pudding and Pie, and I help children to be their healthiest and happiest selves through food, glorious food. I've been in business for over 11 years now. I've taught over 125,000 children, both here in the UK and further afield, Netherlands, Australia, Dubai. I'm a published author, so I did publish a recipe book last Christmas. I've been featured in the Good Food magazine, been on radio, podcasts, all that sort of stuff, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a keynote speaker, so I love talking about children's mental health, children's health and well-being, and what I do and how that all fits in, really. I started this journey, as most people have a big reason why. All my children were premature, and I'd already got very much of an interest in food and nutrition. And I think when you become a mum, all you want to do is feed them.
Yeah.
And when they are teeny tiny, like ours were born at 25 weeks and 30 weeks respectively, when they eventually come home, they're still less than a newborn at 3 months old. So we very much, I very much just took on the role of finding out about nutrition, and that's where it came from, really.
Yeah. And do you know what's been lovely about this book is everybody's story's been so inspiring, and there seems to have been so far with the interviews that I've done a really big hook, the why, the something that got people started. And I love that, the personal story behind the success is really what makes it such a beautiful thing. And you've done so well, and what a lovely, I mean, I'm a bit of a feeder, I've got to be honest. But it's just one of a mum's greatest pleasure, is it, to make sure your children are smartly dressed and they're well fed and they've got clean clothes on and clean gym jams.
Not that easy half the time.
No, it's impossible actually. Getting them to eat healthy and stay clean don't even try it. But it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? That's really where we get our kind of mothering that comes into real play there. So how did you find out about the collaborative book project?
I am part of the Approaching School Academy that Keris Keneally has put together, and I know that you're very much involved with that, Karen, and I just saw how you were answering people's questions and your input, and I thought, this lady knows her stuff. And I just very much wanted to be part of the project with you.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. And do you know what it's done, which is what collaboration, I'm a massive advocate of collaboration in life and business and in general. But what it does, it draws like-minded people together. You sort of find your tribe, don't you? And everybody's got the same, and I think everybody that I've spoken to with regard to this book, we've all got the same passion for children's education, for children's well-being. You mentioned mental health, and that's really key, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It really is.
So you said you've written something before. You wrote a recipe book, did you?
Yeah, I did. I did it as a recipe. It's a recipe doodle book, so it's for children to have a recipe. It was festive doodle book, so it's all around Christmas recipes, and they have room to draw and think about their own recipes, because I think that's where the imagination really comes in. It's not just a book that, it's just there for mum and it needs to be kept all pretty. It's there for the children to really get involved with as well.
Yeah.
So that was, I published that last Christmas. So this collaboration book is my second book.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. And cooking such a wonderfully messy, interactive, inclusive. It doesn't matter if you're great or you're dreadful or you're somewhere in between. It's just such a lovely kind of empowering thing to do as a family as well, isn't it? As well as
it is. It really brings people together. I think we already recognise the fact that food brings us together. Nothing like having everybody around the table. But actually, when children get involved in the process too, I've had such lovely feedback from parents and teachers saying, oh, so and so is so much better with their food now, you're amazing. And I'm like, actually, it's not really me. It's that whole environment of being in a class or a session together and learning from each other as well.
Yeah, it's wonderful. When I first I taught in a school for a long time. It was in quite a deprived area in the Medway towns, and the children had quite limited life experience and quite a lot of, you know, challenges that they faced.
Yes.
And I found this really grubby allotment that was like a thorn in in a sea of thorns, you know, on this quite yeah, underprivileged sort of campus.
Unloved.
Yeah, I know. So we're gonna develop this. Everyone thought I was mental, but that's kind of been the key theme. But we developed this allotment, and one of the children's granddads put down mange tablets for the fox, and he watered down cauliflowers and all of that. And the kids, you know, we ended up growing enough vegetables that we made vegetable soup for parents' evening. And
Oh, how lovely is that?
honestly, the sense of joy that they got, they were eating
Achievement.
things that they never would have eaten before. I was like, oh, if you don't like it, just dip it in a bit of salad cream and see how you get on. And they were eating all
Yeah.
kinds, you know, dip it in a bit of salad cream. And it was such a, pardon the pun, it was such a carrot, you know, for those little boys who perhaps were a bit of a challenge, didn't really want to do reading. I was, well, if you don't do that, you can't come and plant the beans. And they wanted to plant the beans more
And
than
this is
anything.
it's
Yeah.
funny enough, I was just talking to somebody else, another practitioner, about boys and how it's a certain age, because I teach from early years all the way up to end of key stage year 6, key stage 2, and quite often with the boys up until about year 4 or so, maybe year 5, it's all about gross motor, isn't it? They want to run, they want to be on their bikes, they want to be muddy. But I love how cooking breaks across that, because they can get their hands in and
Yeah.
get involved.
Yeah.
Then it's not just a girl's subject.
No, no. And there's so, I mean, we've spoken at length about this. There's so much cross-curricular
Yes,
stuff comes out of cooking, isn't it? The literacy, the numeracy, the, you know, the PSHE. I mean, it's huge, isn't it, really?
it is. And that's what I love so much, because we can be, for example, making fig and fudge biscuits and learning about how Christopher Columbus, discovered figs. So we can cover geography, as you said, with the science, all chemistry, physics and biology, whether it's human biology, whether it's raising agents. With the English and the literacy, we can talk about describing words and texture. Maths is huge. And that, again, I love it, because I can teach the same recipe in one day with 3-year-olds, and we're counting out and talking about shapes and things like that. And then I could be with year 6 on the same day, making the same recipe, but we're talking about ratios and percentages. So we just adapt the recipe to the age group that we've got. Bringing fairy tales to life. I've got a recipe called the Magic Bean Bake, which has got little broad beans in it, and we bash them up with the rolling pin, and that's like Jack and the Beanstalk. Goldilocks and the Three Bears with the oats, you know, and those whole gingerbread men obviously are quite an obvious
marvelous
one. But there's so much that we can bring into it.
It's so rich, isn't it? So the book is called Learning for Life, and it's about the long-term benefits of cross-curricular learning on children's cognitive development. And we've sort of touched on this a little bit, haven't we? So why do you think what you do is, and I say we've touched on it a little bit, why is what you do so important?
Because it's so much more than cooking. I think we all are very aware of the health and well-being. I read a stat not so long ago that 1 in 6 children will be obese by the age of year 6. We know about the dangers of sugar. That is all a given, isn't it? But because we can, like we just talked about, bring in all the extracurricular stuff, the health and well-being, you know, cooking is so much about mindfulness, and also the PSED, as you said. That is so important, because like I'm with a SEND group on Wednesday, and this is quite a deprived school with lots of different mixed year groups and different challenges that's going on. But it really helps encourage the sharing. It really encourages the listening skills, being focused, and they get something tangible at the end of it.
Yeah. It's really, and like you say, the social skills that you get from cooking, eating, sharing a meal, it's about nurture, isn't it? It's about health, it's about growth. It's so, and you know, these days with kids are a lot more on the online, a lot more. They don't necessarily,
Yes.
and we've kind of got into sort of a bit of a fast food culture, and families are busy, so they don't always sit down for a meal. And I think that's, you know, that's such an important part of the way that they're shaped as little
Yes,
ones, isn't it?
it is. I agree. And I think, again, so many times people have come back to me, whether it's teachers or carers, and they've said, "Can I pinch the recipe?" I didn't
Mm,
realise how simple it was, because what I try to do is all my recipes are 5 to 7 ingredients,
yeah,
because if they are 36 ingredients long, I
yeah,
know I love cooking, but it puts me off.
yeah,
Now, if we're in a school or with children that are from families that haven't got a lot of money
yeah,
or working very hard, um, they're not going to, it needs to be from the local shop,
yeah,
easy to get hold of, cheap to
yeah,
get hold of, and simple. So
yeah,
let's just keep it really simple. But yeah, I've had so many adults say, actually, I'm going to give this a go.
mm,
And it's just music to my ears. I'm like,
lovely.
yes,
I
brilliant.
know, it's so, and it's just, and it is, you know, like I've worked with lots of families where perhaps they're, you know, mum and dad, there might be challenges with literacy and things like that, but it's one of those beautiful activities that you don't need to be an academic to have a go. You don't need to, you know, it kind of, you could, from making kind of Rice Krispie cakes to Bœuf Bourguignon, you know, there's such a scope, isn't there?
There is, so that children can actually progress further. I've heard, again, lovely stories when people will come back to me and say, oh, my son is now 16, you used to teach him, he now makes celebration cakes, or he makes the whole family meals. And
Lovely.
again, I'm like, wow, I love that they're still cooking. And they're like, yeah, but you've started that journey off, which
Yeah,
is, again,
yeah.
amazing.
And I was speaking to Helen today from Caterpillar Music, and she was saying, you know, like when she's had children come to her and they're doing something wonderful, and she said it's not just me, but even like when I was teaching, even you, if you're just a tiny bit of that journey, there's such a feeling, isn't it? There's nothing like that. Yeah,
Well, it's an honour. It really
yeah,
is. It's again, because there's so many of my schools and nurseries are within the community. Um, Children are growing up, but still remember the lessons they had with pudding and pie.
yeah, that's wonderful. So here's a challenge for you then. One story that sticks out in your mind, and I'm sure you've got hundreds, but you know, like after my teaching career, there was always that one little kid that kind of, you know, gets right into your heartstrings, or someone who's done
You're
really
right.
well, or what, you
There
know, the
is,
most
there is, there
development.
is so many. You are right. There are
Mm,
so many. One that sticks in my mind is one that was an online student. So when the pandemic hit, I had to realign my business, like lots of people, and I did one of the classes I did was a supper club, and I had a parent contact me, and she said that her son was on the spectrum, and he was 15 or 16, I think, at the time. And she said he will not want his camera on. So that's not a problem. And she said he is extremely fussy and it's really causing issues. I've tried so many different things and we
mm.
can't even eat together as a family, etc., etc. Anyway, fast forward a few sessions, and she rang me up in tears to say she
Mm.
could not believe the transformation in him. And not only was he trying more foods, I'm going goosebumps as I'm talking
I've
about,
just done that. I've literally just done that.
but he was also making him and his two older sisters family meals, and they were all sitting down, and he was so proud of himself. And that just meant the absolute world to me. So yeah, because he was a little bit older as well,
Yeah, which can be tougher, can't it?
and it can. And she said, because of course I'd have a mix online, I'd have a mixed age group as well.
Mm.
But she was just really complimentary, and she said, honestly, you've really been able to sort of reach out to him, and he's really taken to you. And yeah, the rest is history. She's still in touch with me now.
So what is it? What, so this wasn't on the question sheet, so I'll forgive me. But what is it, do you think, that made the difference for him? Because obviously his mum loves him dearly. She's tried everything. It's not working. He's clearly got sensory issues if he's on the autistic spectrum. It's like, what do you think? What do you think is the key ingredient?
Honestly,
Pardon the pun.
honestly, it's not rocket science, and I wish I could say I'm mystical and magical. I'm not, Mum. I think it's as simple as that.
Really?
I'm not, Mum. Let's just say I don't quite have the same impact on my own children as I do on others.
Yes, we've all been there.
but that's what that's what I'd like to say, that actually I'm on the same side as the river as you. I'm not on the other side going, hey, I'm brilliant and I'm fantastic at teaching my kids. I'm on the same side as you saying, I hear you, it's difficult, I know it's hard to have a fajita in the house. And actually, when we used to do the supper club, you'd laugh because I'd have all my phone pinging away. I mean, I'd have 100 families. We made, at one point, we had made bangers and mash, but we made it with root vegetables. And I'd have all these parents pinging through with their meals they've made and happy faces and going, oh, we've loved this and all the rest of it. Every single week, my teenager was like, what is this? And one time I had to give him beans on toast.
Oh my goodness, aren't they funny?
I know. So I'd love to say that I've got, 2 children. One is a real foodie, the other one is not. But I think that's where my strength is, because I understand.
Yeah. And like you say, you're that little bit. And I do think as well, like going back to the allotment story, it's because they've got a little bit of ownership.
Yes,
they've
been involved in the process.
Yeah, they've done it. They've been responsible. They've seen how great it's been. So it's that ownership, isn't it? And that independence. And not being funny, my son went away to uni at 18 and we'd done a lot of cooking, as I'm a bit of a foodie. But what great life skills. What great life skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually there is a school that every year gets us in for their school.
Oh, it's frozen a little bit. I don't know if that's you or me. Oh, the sound's gone a bit.
Sixth formers, to give them some. That's better.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we'd frozen a little bit. So yeah, you have a school that gets you in for their sixth formers. Yeah.
Yeah, just before they leave. Yeah. So and that's really nice. So that's why, again, I feel so lucky that I can be teaching 3-year-olds and 17-year-olds in the same day.
Lovely. And there's not many activities that can transcend, and I think it is the extracurricular activities that can transcend that.
Absolutely.
We don't all have to be 5 doing this. We don't all have to be 15. So okay, so has this project inspired you to write more? I think I know the answer to this.
Yes, it has. So some might think very mad, and they'd be right. I'm actually writing my own book at the same time. And this is about my personal story. So whilst like I said, I've been in business for 11 years, I've had quite a lot of adversity and challenges to overcome through that time. I really want other people that have experienced anything like I have to realise they're not alone. And to help inspire maybe other people to keep on going and to still go for your dreams.
Yeah, and people love that, don't they? Stories they can relate to that make them go, do you know what, I can do this. So how did you find the whole process? Was it easy, hard, challenging, or did it make you, did you find it all right?
I really enjoyed it.
Good.
I found it very therapeutic, actually, because it really does force you into reflecting on what you've achieved, which I don't think we do enough, do we?
We're not nice enough about ourselves, are we?
No,
we know. I'm more than happy to say to someone else, oh, well done, you've done a great job. I don't say that to myself very often, which is, we should do, shouldn't we?
No, we wouldn't treat other people like we treat ourselves and put ourselves down.
I know.
But some of it I found challenging, but I had your lovely self to help me with that bit.
Oh,
that was very much appreciated. But yeah, in the main, really enjoyed it.
Good, that's good. So finally then, before we sign off for today, what would you like the book to achieve?
I would really like people to understand and appreciate how extracurricular activities can really help the well-being, the whole child, the health and well-being. And actually, I really do believe it provides a platform for the core subjects. It gives them confidence. Children that aren't massively sporty or massively academic, it's all about confidence, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If they then learn to be confident in their own abilities, then they can transfer that confidence into other lessons.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the key theme that's run through all these interviews. These skills, it doesn't matter whether you're doing drama or cooking or board, you know, they're transferable skills, aren't they? They don't stay rigidly in that little box. They can go sort of far and wide, which I think, you know, and it's fun, isn't it? I mean, sometimes education, I shan't go down that rabbit hole, but education is so rigid these days that it's, you know, not everybody, one size doesn't fit all, does it?
No, it doesn't. And I really do believe it should be fun, because we know children learn so much. It's so much easier, isn't it, when it's fun?
Well, adults as well, don't we? Life shouldn't be a chore, should it? It's there to be.
No, in fact, my youngest, just when we talk about careers and next steps and all that, he'll say, "Oh, it's all right for you, Mum. Your job's really fun." I'm like, "But behind the scenes, I work very, very hard." You're right, it is fun, but I do have to work very hard behind the scenes. But I love going in. I've got the perfect balance. I go in, they think I'm a celeb the way she's here,
yeah, brilliant. It's great, isn't it?
And then once we've made a load of mess, I'm gone.
Yeah, it's brilliant. All the teachers are going.
Exactly.
But you've chosen that, and that I think is what we should instill in our children. You've chosen that based on your passions. So allowing children to find what their passion is and to find what their unique strength or talent is. They say if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's the point, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I've done my time. I didn't always do this. I've done lots of other things beforehand. But thank you so much, Karen. I just wanted to thank you really for the opportunity. It's been brilliant.
Oh, do you know, and I have to say the stories have been so inspiring. Every single story I read was like, oh God, that's amazing. So it's been a lovely, I know. So yeah, very exciting. So if you're listening to this, look out for Learning for Life. It's due for release on the 27th of October. We're really excited about it, and we hope that it will bring only good things, and who knows, there might even be a book too.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for joining us, and
my pleasure.
See you all again soon.